Good afternoon and welcome to TE Live, an online recruitment show where you, the viewers, get to participate in the broadcast by sending your questions to the employer. Today's recruiting company is Solid Code from Vaasa. They need more great people around their coffee table. Could you be the next person to join their team? Would you like to work for a small, developer-founded company where instead of hierarchy and inflexible company policies, getting stuff done is what creates value? Let's find out. Solid Code was founded by three positive fellas, Hasse, Robert and Mathias. Solid Code is a small but growing company, and their work philosophy is based on freedom, trust and humor. Solid Code offers its customers a wide range of expertise with insightful and tailored high-quality solutions. Solid Code needs more backend developers to even better help their customers to find more valuable solutions to their programming needs. Now, TE Live got to interview one of Solid Code's employees. Alexander and I talked about his journey to Solid Code, how he has enjoyed working for them, and what are the perks of working for a smaller company. Let's have a look and stay tuned after the video. One of Solid Code's co-founder, Mathias Alholm, will join the discussion here in the studio. What made you interested in Solid Code?
This story starts almost 5 years ago. I'm Russian and I lived in St. Petersburg at the time, and I was looking for a job in Finland. And it just so happened that I found a small company here in Vaasa where Mathias, my current boss in Solid Code, was also a head of engineering. So I applied and got the job, and Mathias helped me with all the bureaucracy, residence permit and everything. And in December 2017 I moved to Vaasa. Here I lived 1.5 years working at that company. And then I tried my luck in Helsinki for 2 more years and then decided to return. And by this time Mathias has his own company, Solid Code. He offered me a job. And of course I was immediately interested because I knew that it would be great for me, it would be great to work with him again.
What is the best aspect about working for Solid Code, and why would you recommend it to others?
As I said, Solid Code is a small company and it offers many things that a bigger company cannot, like the freedom, the more responsibility. You can try out new things. You don't have to ask for permission for everything. The communication works great, and we generally understand each other with coworkers very well.
So you work as a senior software developer. How do you collaborate with customers?
Yes, as a senior software developer, my job sometimes requires talking to customers directly, especially again since this is a small company and the distance between developers and end customers is sometimes really small. I don't often work with them directly, it often still works through Mathias and other people, but when necessary I can talk to them completely on my own. I can discuss things with them, learn how to fix things, how to make them better, and it's again quite enjoyable that this doesn't take too much time and there is perfect understanding in the process.
What are the challenges you face at work and how do you overcome them?
Usually there are not really great challenges in this kind of work, but one thing that you always need to keep in mind is that you usually need to take on several roles at once. You should be both a programmer, a tester, a designer. Sometimes you should be able to talk to customers, and even in programming itself you have to have wider knowledge of different fields. So this can be sometimes challenging. but well, I always like to learn something new.
Well, how does it differ to work for Solid Code compared to a bigger company?
Well, in a bigger company you are always kind of a small part of a machine. This is not a bad thing in itself. This is how it has to be when there is a big project and there are maybe tens or even hundreds of people working on it. But it also means there is a lot of overhead, there are processes, there are all kinds of stand-ups, retrospectives and so on. And you never get to do too much outside of your part. While in Solid Code it's kind of more holistic. You have a great picture of everything and you can work on the same project from the beginning to the end.
Thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you.
Welcome back and welcome Mathias, great to have you here.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Well, in my introduction I described you, the founders, as three positive fellas, and you also mentioned on your website that you have a slightly wicked humor. So how is this reflected in your daily life at Solid Code?
Well, what can I say? We usually call ourselves good fellas. Buongiorno. No, but we try to stay positive. I mean, like sometimes you got a little bit more to do, but you still try to have that positive outlook and work as a team. And most of the time you can cope with everything.
That sounds good. So we just heard Alexander's backstory and how he ended up working for you. This is his second job working for you. And you actually had a lot to do with helping Alexander move to Finland and once again you are working together. And I personally think that tells a lot about you and how in these matters you are willing to take an extra mile. But I'm interested to understand why. What is your motivation behind this?
Yeah, it's partially personal reasons, but also like if you can make your employees enjoy their life, then they will also in most circumstances produce better quality code. And like life's short, so don't waste it on being like bored.
That was a great answer. Well, in this broadcast, we are mainly looking for backend developers for Solid Code. And how does the future look like for Solid Code?
I would say it's pretty solid.
See what you did there?
Yeah, no, like for 1 year, we had more possibilities to do work than we actually have been able to offer our customers. And we would also like to try to bring in new customers, but with our current workforce, there is really no room for that right now. And yeah.
So the more the merrier.
The more the merrier, more possibilities.
Exactly. Well, we have gotten a preliminary question asking if you would also consider front-end developers. What are your needs now when it comes to software developers?
At this very moment, our main need is a backend developer. That's where we are a bit short. But we have gotten inquiries that would start like in autumn or so, in case it happens. And then we would probably need 1 or 2 more front-end developers too. So yeah, the need is different, but right now it's the backend developer.
But they should also send their information to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, please do.
By the way, you can use the chat function in the corner of the live stream to send your questions here to the studio. Is there something important I forgot to ask, or do you want Mathias to elaborate and answer more? Write it in the comments and I will take your questions from the chat and open them up for discussion later in the broadcast. Well, let's take a closer look at what you value and what is important to you as a company. Solid Code strives to be a safe haven for developers. They create sustainable and solid software solutions, and as a part of their values is being humble, straightforward, and honest. Well, Mathias, what do you mean with your company being a safe haven for developers?
That's a pretty big question. What we mean there, I would say we want to make solid code a place where you enjoy your time, no unnecessary like office politics or bureaucracy or things like that. We want to make it good. I don't know how else to express it. And of course, we listen to our employees. That's probably the most important thing. Listen to what the employee needs to thrive, because many times people do know what they need themselves. Nobody needs to tell them.
That sounds good. Well, one of your values is creating sustainable and solid software solutions. What does sustainability mean in your line of work?
Well, it's a bit different than what we would normally say when we talk about sustainability. What I would say is like the solution you create, you can continue using them for many years, and when the environment around changes, you are also able to change those solutions to suit the new environment. But in case if you don't make like these solid high quality solutions, many times you start to create a lot of problems, what we call a technical debt, and then you will get mired down in that. So we really strive to make solutions that you can have for many years.
Thank you. Well, what about the employees' duties and responsibilities? Let's find out. As a backend developer at Solid Code, your responsibilities, to name a few, are creating software, i.e. planning, writing and analyzing code, problem solving and improving existing solutions, and as a part of the team, you share Solid Code's commitment to the values and practices of an agile team. Well, Mathias, what challenges backend developers get to solve at Solid Code?
Yeah, so a lot of our clients are in the financial industry, and so there's a lot of reporting, and really lately the name of the game has been a lot of integrations with different systems, payment solutions, with banks, you name it, with authorities. You always have to take those into account also from time to time. So yeah. And a lot of other, like every day is not every day, but let's say every week there is a different problem that needs to be solved.
So one has to be really interested in solving problems.
Yes, definitely.
Yes. Well, how do you define and measure success in your team?
Our success as a company really depends on the success of our clients. If we make something that the client can use to their benefit, then that's also really good for us. So like a close cooperation with the client and listening to their needs, and also being able to change perhaps midway in case you realize, okay, this is not really the biggest problem you got right now. Instead, we should focus on another issue, and that is what we strive to do. Like if you are able to cooperate, also internally, of course, be a nice person, please, then that is something we really value.
Well, that sounds good. And let's talk about teamwork a bit more. You are a small team, so how do you organize your work? I talked about agile team, like please explain how this works in reality within your team.
Well, agile has been a really big thing lately. A lot of people talk about it, and it's a quite wide thing that doesn't have to be really strict. It really depends on the project.
Let's like have an example. Like if you have one client, like is it just one person who is working with that client, or do you work as a team there?
Thank you for that question. It's like you can work as a team. Perhaps like you plan the parts separately. Then one of you go off and do, perhaps like if it's a backend and front-end thing, you do that part in the backend, the other guy does the one in the front-end. Then you check and communicate both like the two developers working on it, and also checking back with the customer, are we heading the right direction? Is this really what you want and need? Or have your requirements even changed, which they may do. And that is, I think it's like wonderful when they realize that the requirement has changed. So agile, it's really what the word means. Like you try to adapt to changing business requirement, business environments. Let's say the environment for the business, or the idea behind the software project suddenly changes, like you cannot really do that anymore. Then you need to adapt and accordingly. And yeah.
Yes. So, well, what are your expectations for backend developers? Let's have a look. So, Solid Code expects experience with coding languages, foundation in software design, and they also expect you to love clean code. Well, talking about code, let's talk about it and everything concerning the process around it. And we have also gotten a preliminary question to the broadcast about programming languages and the knowledge one needs to have in order to be in order to succeed at Solid Code. So please elaborate on this. What are the programming languages you use or need?
Yeah, right now we are working a lot of in PHP, C#, JavaScript. Of course, then you also need to communicate with the database quite often, and that you do through SQL. Like we really have a multitude of languages, but those are perhaps like the main things that are good now. But for the backend developer position, the JavaScript, of course, doesn't really apply, but it doesn't harm you in case you know something also, so that it's easier to communicate with the one doing the front-end side.
Sounds good. Well, you expect a foundation in software design. So what does this mean in terms of education or level of seniority?
If you went the formal way, I would say that is a bachelor in computer science with a few years of experience on top of that. But as you know, in this field, a lot learn by themselves. There are excellent opportunities to do that nowadays, also online. So, I mean, if you reached the same level that you could expect through any way, it's really up to you. If you reach that level, that would be equivalent with a bachelor's degree, then you certainly are an interesting candidate to us.
That sounds good. Well, what kind of skill set you require or wish your backend developers would possess?
A strong urge to solve problems. that is like the main thing.
Yes.
And we also like good cooperative skills, so that you can both internally work well in the team, but also be able to discuss directly with the client, as we are a small team, agile team that really wants to work with the client and bring their success, and through their success our own success.
I said earlier that they obviously need to love clean code. How do they show that to you?
If I read the code, or if somebody reads the code and they understand what that code does without me getting any bolder, then I think that you're in a pretty good shape. Like it's about like being able to express yourself as clearly as possible and as simple as possible. Don't introduce unnecessary complexity and so forth.
Okay, well, your first language is Swedish, mine is Finnish, yet we're speaking in English here. What are the language expectations for your employees?
The most important is English. Some of our clients, their employees are mainly English speaking, or if you know Spanish or Russian or something else, that is also good, but English is the lingua franca, and at the office we use Swedish quite a lot, but Finnish is also okay.
Sounds good. Well, we have now talked about duties and responsibilities and your expectations for Solid Code has for their employees, but let's now take a look what Solid Code offers its employees. Solid Code promises a fantastic work environment, no corporate politics, and making an impact. Mathias, promising a fantastic work environment is a big promise. How do you ensure that?
Well, I would like to go back to what I said like 5 minutes ago, and that is listen to your employees,
yes.
Listen to what they need, listen to how they want it. Where do they work, want to work, and when do they want to work, and how much do they want to work? Not everybody wants to work the 40-hour week anymore. They may have like other interests they also want to tend to. So that's like we listen to our employees and they tell us what they need, and also of course we try to come up ourselves with good ideas to what could improve the work environment.
But listening is a very good thing to have. Well, Alexander, who we met in the video, lives in Tampere, so remote work is totally fine with you, and now you don't require your employees to move here to Vaasa. No. We've gotten a preliminary question if you, however, require your employees to visit the office every now and then. What's your policy on that?
I mean, like the physical meetings, they are important. Like you get to know each other on a different level when you can actually sit in the same room, have the small talk and laugh together. So that's like the main reason we like to see, like depending on how far you live, perhaps you live in another country, then you can of course not join us as often, but otherwise a couple of times a year is really good to just get together, not necessarily in like for work, but also just for the small talk, to get to know each other.
Yeah, that's important for team building.
Yes.
Yes. What kind of support is available for those employees that do not work physically in Vaasa?
Yeah, we are like always online, more or less. Internally, we use Slack, and Alexander, who then works in Tampere, he can reach out anytime he likes and ask like, hey, how is this thing going? And also we tried a few times to have these like remote coffee breaks. I don't know. It's kind of hard, but at least we gave it a try. Perhaps we will have to try again. But yeah, be there and listen, even though you cannot listen like with your ears, but listen with your eyes on what they write instead.
Yeah, that's important as well.
Mm.
Well, let's talk about this promise about no corporate politics. Alexander also mentioned earlier in the video that what he appreciates about working for a smaller company and how you work together. So looking at from your point of view, what are the benefits about working in a smaller company and not needing to worry about stiff corporate policies?
Yeah, I would say like stiff corporate policies doesn't really benefit anyone anymore today. But of course, if you're a big company, then it may be that you need some policies to keep things running. But like we're a smaller company, so we kind of can get rid of a lot of those corporate policies and like this heavy bureaucracy, and you're not being able to talk directly to the client or something like that. We just try to remove like the obstacles for you to make your work and solve the real problems instead of solving imaginary corporate politics problems.
Well, one of your promises for your employees is making an impact. Well, how do people working for Solid Code make an impact?
Well, for me, I love clean code, and I feel like every time we bring solid clean code out into the world, it provides a more sustainable or like good experience for the end user, and instead of getting frustrated, they can carry on with their own lives instead of being bogged down in a mire of IT.
This all sounds very good, but let's talk about money next. So Solid Code offers backend developers a monthly salary of 3,000 to 5,000 euros. The salary range is higher than in the collective agreement for IT service sector. Well, Mathias, how do you determine the employee salary range? This was a big gap, 3,000 to 5,000.
Yeah, of course, the seniority and ability to take on like projects not independently, but that you're able to work towards the goal with only the necessary coaching, and also like if you're good with the customers, that also helps, and like if you're being a nice person, that actually also helps.
Being nice is important. Yes. Well, you have stated that you will get those who join the team at Solid Code whatever equipment is needed to get the job done. So please elaborate on this. What do you mean? What exactly are we talking about?
Whatever you need to get the work done, and that basically in my profession means we don't need hammers, we don't need drills, but we need good IT equipment, good computers, good screens, the software you need that you are accustomed to working with, which can be something else than what I use or what one of my colleagues use. Of course, internet goes without saying nowadays, more or less. And do you need a phone in case you're like a really social person and wants to be in contact with the customers? Then, of course, we provide you with that phone and everything you need to solve the customer's problem instead of getting bogged down in other.
Yes. All right. Well, we will continue the discussion with your chat questions after the next video. So you still have time to send your questions to Mathias, so please use this opportunity and use the chat. But next, let's meet Alexander again. I asked him what he appreciates the most in the way of life in Finland. What about the way of life in Finland? What do you appreciate the most?
Well, I might be a bit unusual immigrant because I did not came for money or for any political reasons, but just because I love Finland and I always wanted to live in Finland. And so far I greatly enjoy it. It hasn't been always easy, it probably is never easy for an immigrant, but I appreciate very much the work-life balance here, how the country is generally well run, Finnish nature, Finnish culture. My hobby is traveling around Finland, and I've already been in so many cities and in all national parks, and it's been great here.
Well, Alexander mentioned in the video how much he appreciates Finnish nature and culture, but also the work-life balance. How do you take that into consideration in your team?
Like I said, you have to choose, or you can choose yourself how much you work and when you work, and we're really flexible. If you like, Alexander wants to go hiking next week because you got that great opportunity, then we will do everything to make that happen.
Sounds good. Well, now is the most exciting part where I get to ask Mathias questions from the viewers. All right, we have gotten quite a few questions here. One person asks, do you usually sit at the customer, the office, or at home during the projects?
Most of the time we sit in our own office or at home if you work from home. And we talked about remote work, and you don't have to live here in Vaasa. So Jaakko is asking, is the company paying for the visits to Vaasa, or is that for the employer to pay for themselves? We've been paying for the visits.
Short and concise, yes, very good. One more question. Do you usually get ready-made specifications, or do you participate in the planning and architecture before going into programming?
We always participate in the planning and architecture and the designing process. This far we have done that.
So
yeah, we help them to sort of like solve, like preferably they come with a problem, because as I think we are pretty good at solving problems, it's better than if they come with a solution and wants to implement this is the exact way we want it. But instead trust the professionals, and they can perhaps find a better solution to your problem.
That sounds good. Thank you so much for all the questions here. You can still send questions. The chat is open for another 10 minutes after the broadcast. We will stay and answer all the questions in writing that I didn't bring up here. And please remember that all the questions and the answers in the chat will stay in the recording of this broadcast. Well, Mathias, first of all, thank you so much for the great interview so far. It's been a real pleasure to talk to you and find more about Solid Code. Sadly, I only have one question left for you, but it's the most important one. Why should one apply to work for Solid Code?
Well, in case you like to have freedom to solve real-life problems, you want to excel in writing clean code and have a really great team surrounding you, then I think you should definitely apply for this position.
Sounds good. And here are you, Robert and Hasse. So you have a place for another nice person there.
Yeah, we would run out of windows though, but...
Well, thank you. Solid Code is looking for several backend developers at this moment. So if you want to be a part of a team where you get to be yourself and where new ideas and innovative approaches are highly appreciated by the team members, then don't hesitate to start your future career at Solid Code. Please get in touch with Mathias by sending him an email. His email address should be here in the screen, but it's also in the chat. Mathias and the rest of the team are looking forward to hearing from you. And thank you so much for being a part of this TE Live broadcast. I hope you enjoyed your time with us, and you can give us feedback about this broadcast via the link found in the chat. And speaking of the chat, it is still open for another 10 minutes, so keep those questions coming and we will stay and answer your questions there in writing. But for now, good luck, thank you, and have a great day.